For this quarter's Book of Chores project, I decided to do it over Carry On by Rowell. I would definitely say that this book is a melting pot between fantasy, romance, and action. It's a pretty hefty book with about 600 pages, and it has the added complexity of switching between both characters and time periods. It starts off with our protagonist, Simon Snow, who has basically been prophesized to save all of the magician's kind. And he's chosen by the leader of the magicians, called the Mage. And this leader kind of hypes him up and says, you're going to go to Watford and you're going to be this amazing magician and you're just going to save basically the world. And he kind of is confused at first because he feels like his magic is inferior to everyone else's, because everyone else's magic is described as more like a stream, while his is more of an explosion. And he feels like that makes him inferior, and he doesn't understand why he's the person who has to save the world. And also added element is that his roommate, Baz, who is actually his enemy in the beginning of the book, becomes a later love interest whenever Simon is worried about Baz because Baz isn't coming to school, and he goes into this adventure to find him, and actually figures out that Baz is struggling internally with some family issues. His mom died a long time ago, and she was actually the former leader of the magicians, and that Baz is going on this mission to find out what happened to her and why it happened, and overall is just struggling. So Simon ends up helping him a lot, and along the way they end up falling in love, and they get together, and it's towards the end they're together. The romance in the book actually doesn't start till about page 390, so it's pretty late in the book. Also added elements are the flashbacks to the past, where we look at the parents of the mage and why the mage was born. We also take looks at Agatha and Penelope, who are side characters. Penelope is Simon's best friend, and Agatha is his girlfriend in the beginning of the book, but then turns later on into a friend. We also get to explore their lives, their family, things such as that. Such as Penelope's brother who works for the mage, and Penelope's love interest, and we also get to go through Agatha and her thoughts behind why she's dating Simon, and why she likes him and why she doesn't like him, and it's just really interesting to get to see all these characters' insight into what's happening. Basically the main plot point of the book, though, is that there's this creature called the Humdrum who basically makes magic void, like null and void, and Simon, it's his job. That's what he's been prophesied to do, is to get rid of the Humdrum. So he doesn't really know how to do this because no one's really ever taught him how to, but he ends up kind of following it around, wanting to know what it is. It puts his friends in danger, it puts his family in danger. He just wants to get rid of it. Eventually, at the end of the book, he does end up getting rid of it, but at a cost. His magic is gone and the mage is dead. So basically what he thinks is that his magic has been a fraud the whole time, and that he's basically a hoax, and he was basically just a ploy to make the people feel better, and that his magic was never real. While everyone else, like Baz, Penelope, and Agatha, think that he did have magic and that he sacrificed it. It was just special magic, and it kind of adds a struggle that we never really get a resolve to, which I think we will get a resolve to in the second book, Wayward Son, that comes out in 2019 of this year. This book is definitely a lot like Harry Potter, obviously. Actually, Rowell has come out and talked about this, about how she actually based it off Harry Potter. It started off as kind of a fan fiction, but then turned into her own kind of creative masterpiece. Also, I think that I like it a lot because of the spells in Harry Potter were kind of hard to understand, or like, they didn't really relate to anything. Well, the spells in this are definitely pop culture references. My favorite spell was definitely whenever they were trying to hide a tail of some creature. They basically said, these are not the droids you're looking for, which is a Star Wars reference, and I thought that was hilarious. But also, my favorite part of the book is definitely the way that they approach sexuality. Now, Baz and Simon do get together later on in the book, and they approach their sexuality in two different ways, which I think is very important, especially for young readers, because I feel like there is just one way that people think they need to look at sexuality, which I feel like is wrong. So basically, Baz looks at it like, I've always known that I was like this, and I don't know how you haven't known you were like this. Like, how do you not know? Like, how do you not know? And Simon looks at it like, well, it's not that I don't know who I am, it's that I don't really mind. Like, I don't want to label it. I just want to be who I am and love who I want and not really have to put a label on it, which I think is very important to see those two sides, because I think both of those ways of looking at it are correct, and anyone can look at their sexuality the way they feel like they want to. And I feel like this book really did a good job at representing both the LGBTQ community and different ways to look at sexuality. Overall, this book is a 5-star for me. It's very good, very long, keeps you entertained. It keeps you thinking, keeps you going. A lot of storylines, you won't get bored. It's amazing. I think that a lot of books need to incorporate different ways of viewing sexuality, as well as including more sexuality and being more diverse with how they present their characters. And having the sexuality not be the main focus of the book, but being something that was very rewarding when you get to it. Overall, Carry On by Rainbow Rowell is an amazing book, and Rainbow Rowell will forever be an amazing author.